Last night's episode of NXT had a big fight feel to it, specifically in regards to the main event that was the number one contenders match between Andre Chase and Ridge Holland. Not only was the number one contender spot on the line, but it was also the fate of Chase University. It's well documented, all the gambling that Andre Chase had in regards to Chase University that caused them to close up shop for a short time there. So when it was announced on last week's episode of NXT that Andre Chase was willing to put the fate of Chase University on the line as a way to open up an opportunity for himself to have this number one contender match against Ridge Holland, a lot of questions were asked in the week leading up to this match. I myself struggled to come up with a prediction. I thought for sure that leading into a number one contender match, Ridge Holland was the favorite. He had already gained a pinfall victory over the NXT champion Trick Williams within that tag team match that had taken place only 2 weeks prior. But then, when you add the extra layer of storytelling that was the fate of Chase University, it really just complicates the prediction. Because Andre Chase, it's true, never had a one-on-one opportunity at the NXT championship throughout his whole tenure at NXT. Andre Chase is one of the first members of that NXT 2.0 crop. You'll think of other guys like Carmelo Hayes, obviously Trick Williams, Braun Breaker, Grayson Waller, Tony D'Angelo, just to name a few. And Andre Chase, I think, is one of those guys that was never really highlighted as much as those previous names. Now, of course, he would win the NXT Tag Team titles on 2 separate occasions, one with Duke Hudson and the other with his opponent, Ridge Holland. But over time, as we began to become closer to Andre Chase and Chase University, we got to know more of the students, people like Thea Hale, Duke Hudson, Riley Osborne. We develop a sense of investment in these individuals, in this partnership, in this friendship, in this family. And over time, we learned to love them. We learned to hate what they do, whether that was the gambling scandal between Andre Chase. But over time, we wanted to see them succeed. So when Ridge Holland made his way from SmackDown to NXT looking for opportunity, he was lost in the shuffle there. But Andre Chase and Chase University, they welcomed into their group. And there was a time being where they gained some momentum. Ridge Holland and Andre Chase, as I mentioned, would win the tag titles. But then a switch had flipped. Duke Hudson and Riley Osborne would suffer attacks by Ridge Holland. It would lead to the matchup at Halloween Havoc, the ambulance match that Andre Chase would lose to Ridge Holland. All gearing up for this matchup. And like I said, a big fight feel to it. You could feel the level of emotion, the significance, the pressure that was amplified in this matchup. And I think that's when pro wrestling is at its best. We know all the criticisms of pro wrestling being predetermined, but when it feels real like this, that is the beauty of it. Chase University was on full display throughout the entire performance center. We saw the crowd donning t-shirts saying Chase U. The crowd was electric in their support for Andre Chase. And first of all, big props to Ridge Holland for being the heel that he is. Because in this matchup, they really presented him as this force. I mean, it was a competitive matchup, but then you had the interference by Duke, by Riley, Thea Hale as well. And Ridge Holland, I should say, goes through each member, plowing through each of them, almost with ease, demonstrating the violence, the force that he possessed. Even withstanding that second wind by Andre Chase, Ridge Holland was able to get the victory over Andre Chase, not only earning an opportunity at Trick Williams for the NXT title, but also forcing Chase U to disband. Now, depending on what you're thinking of here, or the vernacular that they used, one could argue, what is the future of Chase University? Because from my understanding, it's disbanded. It's over. But then if you look at the wording on the graphic leading up to the matchup, it almost seems like Chase U's a thing. It's just without Riley, Thea, and Duke. So it'll be very interesting to see in the next coming weeks what this means for each individual member that was involved in this matchup. And another thing, I look at the way the match had broke down. Obviously, it was very cathartic. It was very appropriate to have the baby faces get their hands on Ridge Holland, who had caused so much chaos throughout the course of these last few months for Chase U. But almost in a sense of them ganging up on him and him overpowering them, overcoming the odds. It was almost like a reversal here because Ridge Holland is the heel, but yet he was being jumped, he was being attacked, getting a taste of his own medicine. Like I said, it was very cathartic, really cut down the middle here. It was either, black or white. You either like Ridge Holland or you don't. And in this case, a lot of people don't like Ridge Holland. And I think that's the best part of this story. It has gotten him over as a credible heel. Andre Chase and Chase U did their job in being one of the more entertaining parts of NXT TV, winning the tag team titles, getting over as an act, while also getting individuals like Thea Hale, Duke Hudson, Riley Osborne, and of course Andre Chase, getting them over. And in their last bit of storytelling, they were able to propel Ridge Holland to another level. We knew he was a credible mid-carder throughout the course of his time in NXT, but it's because of this feud, specifically this match, that really puts him over the top. Again, from a physical standpoint, Ridge Holland looks like a menace. From a mental standpoint, he is a menace. And to see what is going to come next between he and Trick Williams will certainly determine the future for Ridge Holland as well as Trick Williams. I think this is an underrated matchup here, especially within the grand scheme of NXT, because we know that women's division is top tier. When you have talents like Julia, Roxanne, Stephanie, Zarya, just to name a few. The NXT roster is primarily dominated by the women's division. So this is an opportunity for the men to step up. Ridge Holland and Trick Williams have a chance here to do something special. We looked at how Trick Williams and his last couple feuds have been going on. We wanted to see a little bit more aggression, specifically how he feuded with Ethan Page. We want to see a more aggressive side, and I think we're going to need that when it comes to Ridge Holland. Holland, again, has been on a tear, so we're going to need to see Trick kick it into another gear if he wants to successfully defend his title against the newest number one contender. But again, the aftermath of this matchup between Andre Chase and Ridge Holland really sold the story for me. If you would have asked me a couple years ago when I first saw Andre Chase and seeing the segments with he and his students at Chase University, if you would have told me that on a night where he was gambling his university for a title opportunity, that it would give me chills, it would leave me speechless, I would have been pleasantly surprised. But that's what happened. Seeing Andre Chase rise back up after being pinned in the middle of the ring, seeing Duke Hudson, who had been speared through a wall, seeing Thea Hale and Riley Osborne on the ground, writhing in pain, and Andre Chase's facial expression in disbelief, in agony, realizing what had just happened. He no longer has the support of these three individuals. Not only can they cannot exist as Chase U anymore, but you could argue that he gambled away their friendship, their loyalty. Because if I'm Thea Hale and if I'm Riley Osborne and Duke Hudson, I'm looking at Chase like you did it again. Like you gambled it away and you lost. And that level of guilt is going to have to stay with Andre Chase. I talk about how we're going to go moving forward with Ridge Holland and Trick Williams, but the aftermath of this matchup for those four members of Chase U are also so significant. Don't be surprised if we see something of like a Duke Hudson versus Andre Chase rivalry. I don't know. I just feel like that might be a direction that they go. The MVP of Chase U against Mr. Chase U himself. Very compelling stuff here, especially coming out of this episode of NXT. We're on the road to Deadline. We obviously have the Iron Survivor matches not completed yet. We still have some qualifiers to watch out for, but I want to hear from you guys. What did you think of the main event between Chase and Ridge Holland? What are your thoughts on the end of Chase University? Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this short little recap of what happened. Also, be sure to comment down below your thoughts and opinions on NXT, specifically this storyline or any storyline that's currently going on in NXT. And if you haven't already, make sure to go ahead and drop an elbow on the subscribe button to keep up to date with all the content that you can find here, all about pro wrestling. Of course, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. Thank you for stopping by and talking wrestling with me, and I'll see you guys in the next video.